Well, I miss Randy and Kathy too. You're getting the second string this morning. My name is Mike Dennis. I'm one of the elder shepherds here, and this is my opportunity to share with you some things that I have been pondering over the last couple of weeks since I took on this assignment. Were we able to get the video for? Okay, I'm going to let a little guy. Well, he was a little guy. This was 11 years ago. This was recorded. Named Mateo. Introduce the subject for you.
Listen to me. Like I do this all the time. And if I go out at the house with the door, Matthew has his toys, and then Matthew has all his toys.
Okay, but I have to yell at you guys.
Okay, Linda, listen, Linda. Listen.
Okay, what?
Like everything they do at this house, you can't trust everything at Grandma's house.
Okay.
Okay, then what?
Then you're not listening to me.
Then you're not listening to me.
I asked you not to do something.
Linda, but listen to me. Look at, if we do something, if you get that bird thing off, you're gonna break it.
Okay, but I'm letting you know
But
that you cannot.
Linda, lick it.
You're not listening to me.
Linda,
Listen to me now. Listen to me now.
Listen to me.
No, you're not listening. I said.
Guess what the topic is? Just drop Linda and you'll have the topic. Actually, that was my Linda's idea that we include that. When she heard what the topic was this morning, she said, "Oh, you need to do Listen, Linda." Realized that he was 3 years old. Now he's 14 or 15. I'll bet he hasn't changed much. I was listening, as I do often, while I work in the backyard or while I drive. I was listening to NPR, and there was a piece on there about a folk singer from North Carolina, and she was explaining how I think she had been in corporate America for a while, but she'd been a musician at heart all this time, and she wanted to get back to what she really loved, and that was the folk music of that part of North Carolina, and not folk music like Pete Seeger and This Land Is Your Land, This Land Is My Land, the folk music of the mountains. The folk music that people would sit on their back porch and everybody played and sang, so that was their entertainment, that folk music. And she said that when she was putting together the idea for the instruments and the voices, as you may or may not know, folk music and kind of what we know as bluegrass is very structured. There's a harmonic pattern that is followed, and the instruments have to be complementary, both vocal and mechanical instruments. And it's not a simple thing. You have to know both the instrument and the instrumentalist, both the song and the singer, to know that you'll have a good blending of the musical elements for a good song. And so she used a term that I'm co-opting for the lesson this morning: listen loud. You have to listen loud. Now, English teachers, I apologize. I've misappropriated an adjective to be an adverb. But as she was able to have some poetic license as a lyricist and a musician, I'm going to claim that right today. And it's not mine anyway, it's hers. So listen loud is what I'd like to talk about this morning. And let's go on with the sort of the harmonic theme. We, within many of the churches of Christ, choose to sing a cappella. Why is that? Because we enjoy participation of everyone, regardless of your musical inclination or not, because we believe joyful noise is really where it is. But there is certainly a beauty to well done 4-part harmony or 8-part harmony. But it requires a lot of complicated, though we don't realize it when we're doing it, a lot of complicated process. When we sing, as we just did, that song, Salvation Belongs to Our God. Beautiful harmony, but it's very precise. If somebody is they didn't get the key quite right, or their voice is louder than anybody else in the room, or we somehow forget the words or the pace of the song, it doesn't sound very good. So harmony requires both singing and listening. If you're way off key, you know it. If you are really in the sweet spot, it just sends chills up your spine. The phrasing and the emphasis is everything, particularly in gospel songs, and in a lot of bluegrass and folk songs as well. It tells a story, and it's not just repetitive. It's not something as here. The praise team is not here for performance. We're not here to make stars. We're here to worship God. It is only for the benefit of hearing all 4 parts that we have microphones. That's why we don't even sit together, because we need to be, and fortunately we've been able to sort of figure out the sound system over the years that we're able to hear all 4 parts as we sing. So those of you who have an affinity to alto or soprano, tenor, or bass, you can hear your part and sing with it. We read in James chapter 1, verse 19, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. And Proverbs says, I'll paraphrase, only a fool answers before he gets the question. When I was a kid, my mom, particularly my mom and grandma, if she wanted me to shut up, she would never say shut up. Shut up was like a curse word. You never said shut up. She would say, be still. Anybody else remember that? Nobody says that anymore. Be still. Well, it's biblical. Psalms 46. Be still and know that I am God. Why did I need to be still? Why do we need to be still? So we can listen. Research is finding more and more that hearing is probably the last sense that is functional before death. That's why people will hold the hand of a dying loved one after the heart has stopped, and they'll express their love because they can hear. Now, why would God take away our speech? Our speech should be the last thing, right? Because we need to tell the world what we know. We need to leave some last barbs. So-and-so, I never forgot that. This is my parting shot. No, it's hearing. It's listening. Listen loud. But loud listening requires focus and intentionality. And we have to do it with more than our ears. Those of you who don't know me well may not know I am not a fan of social media. You don't listen with social media. There's no way to be able to get body language or tone of voice over text message. Emojis are not the answer. I read or actually saw in a movie about a deaf auto mechanic who was able to listen to the engine. He used a screwdriver, put it up against the engine block, and then put it against the side of his head, and he was able to hear whether the car was missing, whether the timing was off. You'll notice folks that are hearing impaired are quite often, they want to see your face. They want to see your enunciation because they can read lips. They can hear with their eyes. And ASL interpreters quite often are quite animated during any sort of a public address. If there's an ASL interpreter, you'll see they are all over here, doing all this stuff. Why do they do that? Why are they so animated? That is tone of voice. They're giving emphasis to what's being said by a physical action, so that those who are hearing impaired can listen in context. And the last example I had was when a baby cries. One of four things is at play. They're in pain, they're hungry, they're sleepy, or they need a diaper change. What is the second sense that we use to listen to what the baby wants? Your nose. You can eliminate one of those with your nose. Oh, but loud listening requires humility. I have two favorite humorist philosophers. One is Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain, and the other is Will Rogers. Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain, is given the credit for saying the man who will not hear has no advantage over the man who cannot hear. And Will Rogers spoke to humility when he said, everyone is ignorant, only on different subjects. Now, what does that have to do with listening? I can't know everything. I can think I know everything. I'm learning as I get older that is less and less true. But I used to know everything, or I thought I did. If I am righteously indignant about something, I can make you think that I think I know everything. Humility teaches us that listening is the way we learn, even if we really know everything. We have to give value to diversity. Diverse opinions, diverse backgrounds, diverse cultures, diverse ages. Floyd and I aren't that much difference in age, But I learned a lot from Floyd at the BBB. Randy almost had it right last week. It's the Beans and Brew Bros. We meet on Tuesday evenings, and we're talking about the disciple process. We're early into the study, so those men of you who would like to join us and become a Beans and Brew Bro have to drink coffee. They have all kinds of beverages there, but we are pretty much their evening clientele. So please join us. But I was speaking with Floyd, and I learned a lot about what it was like here in Salt Lake Valley years ago. Here, and many of us have. Jeff, Bill, I know have. The others of you, but by and large, this was all news to me, and it was really. And if I need to know, where that old restaurant was that may not even be there anymore, Floyd's going to know. Quite often, we into endeavors, whether it's something in our secular life, changing the gaskets on our 64 Plymouth, or learning how to program our smart TV. We don't need to invent that ourselves. We don't have to invent that wheel. Somebody else has already done it. We just need to find them. We don't need to draw our own map. A map exists. We just need to borrow it. But to do that, we need to intentionally listen with humility. Proverbs 12:15, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to counsel. Surround yourself not with people who know what you know, but people who are different from you. As Steve has often said, it's difficult for us sometimes to reach out and embrace and accept people who are different from us. I grew up in Iowa. There's probably no state, at least when I was growing up there, that was whiter and more Anglo-Saxon. And as we've moved different places in the U.S. and Canada, as I've traveled abroad, I really appreciate the cultures and the perspectives that I have encountered. God built us for relationship and calls us to fellowship. Even the word that we translate church, ecclesia, is the called out. He has called us to fellowship. Well, maybe more an easier concept is listening aloud requires curiosity. I think everyone's curious. Maybe we're more curious when we're really young. Everything is brand new. We're a little more reserved as we're older because we don't want to look foolish with our curiosity. But again, as Mark Twain said, in support of listening, better to be quiet and thought a fool than open your mouth and remove all doubt. Listen. Curiosity. We need to have curiosity about not just our sphere, but the sphere of the world. If we're not curious, we don't know that there's been devastating floods in Texas. We don't know that George and Kayla in Colorado are breathing in the smoke of the fire on the south rim of the Gunnison, Black Canyon of the Gunnison fire. We don't know that. didn't listen to the news. But there are some really uncomfortable things that are on the news. Hey, I listen to NPR. There are some really uncomfortable things on NPR. I'm as likely to disagree with what's being said as I am to agree. But I need to listen to it because it's part of the narrative, part of the conversation. Jesus didn't avoid the difficult subjects. He associated with people who absolutely he did not agree with. Curiosity informs and enriches our human relationships. Fellowship, you can think of fellowship, human relationships, as being the difference between thriving and just surviving. I can live alone in the woods. Well, maybe not. And I can survive. You know, if I have the right tools, I can live. May not live to a ripe old age, but I can't thrive. A child can't thrive without connection, human relationship. Neither can we. So sometimes we're going to encounter uncomfortable, painful, disgusting beliefs and moral and issues that we really need to know about, need to be a part of what we can process. It's important that we realize, though, that acknowledgement is different than agreement. Let's take an example from the Bible. There was a lady caught in adultery that was about to be stoned to death. Jesus knelt down with her in the center of this circle, putting his own safety in peril. And he drew in the dirt. And he acknowledged that woman. Did he agree with her? Did he bless what she was doing? She was an adulterer. But when he shamed those who were about to kill her by stoning, by saying, "You who are without sin, cast the first stone." And at least they were honest with themselves. They realized none of them could fill that bill. None of them could identify as sinless. Then Jesus said, "Go and sin no more." He didn't agree with her, but he acknowledged her. He saw her. We don't have to agree with all the people we encounter. We may not even convince to our position all the people we encounter, but they need to be acknowledged. We need to listen. If we don't listen, why would they listen? So if you haven't figured it out yet, loud listening is fatal to confirmation bias. Bias is a part of who we are. Can't avoid it. Bias isn't bad. It's the effect of experience, of age, of our environment. Bias is in each one of us. We're able to sort of see and make judgments on very quickly on things that are about to happen. And sometimes those judgments are right, sometimes they aren't. But we need to realize that bias, when we always rely on it, becomes prejudice. And prejudice is more often wrong than right. Confirmation bias is where we look for people who agree with us. Hang out just with people that are just like us. Hang out with people that are going to confirm confirmation, the same bias that we have. Maybe we grew up with them. We've known them since third grade. That's confirmation bias. Maybe we've just convinced them that we know everything. I've got the answer to everything, so you agree with me, and we're going to be fine. When I surround myself with people who agree with me, I don't grow. I don't learn anything. I don't have to listen. I already know everything that they agree with. In the Bible, confirmation bias is addressed. Did you know that? It's in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 3 and 4. It says that you will look for people with itching ears. Itching ears. You want somebody to scratch those itching ears. So you're going to look for somebody that knows exactly what makes your ears itch. That's confirmation bias. It's fatal. Loud listening is fatal to confirmation bias. We'll be able to identify it and know when it becomes prejudice and when it's healthy for us. Now, where can we see where Jesus pushed up against confirmation bias? Well, the Samaritans. No better than dogs. That was the predominant understanding from anyone who was a Hebrew or was a Jew, because in fact the Samaritans were Hebrew. But confirmation bias was something that Jesus did not accept. He associated with outcasts. Zacchaeus, a tax collector. Really? He is an enemy of the Jews. He's with the Romans. He's a turncoat. He ought to be executed. Total outcast. Jesus said, I'm coming over to your house today for dinner. The woman in adultery, he should not have associated with her. Not only was she a single woman, but she was an adulteress, known to be a sinner. The Syrophoenician woman, also Samaritan, at the well of Jacob, should not have darkened his shadow should not have darkened her path at all. Yet he spent time with her, acknowledged her, he heard her story, and sent her away as a disciple. He associated with lepers. Yikes. Incurable. Yet he was compassionate to the outcast. He overcame his confirmation bias. He did not look for people who agreed with him, because almost no one did. As we talked this morning in Steve's class, he was, to many, the epitome of evil. To others, he was just crazy, but no one to be associated with. As I've inferred, listening loud is necessary for disciples to serve others. We've got to listen. What makes us disciples? We follow the Master. Jesus listened. He was aware of the need. Who went out of his way to help this old lady cross the street because he hadn't asked her before, do you want to cross the street? She wanted to be on the side she was on. So don't answer the question before it's asked. Don't try to fill the need until you know what it is. Listen. Ask and then listen. In John chapter 13, after Jesus has washed the feet of his apostles before the Last Supper, he says, I have set you an example that you may do as I have done for you. Jesus, as we read in Mark 10, came to serve, not to be served. We're disciples. What should we do? Be served? I don't think so. We came to serve. And Jesus did listen with all his senses. He met a woman in a crowd. There were people pressing up against him. And how was it that he listened to this woman? Wasn't with his ears, wasn't with his eyes. He felt the power go out of him as she tugged at the hem of his garment. He listened. He was listening for her. Paul says in 1 Corinthians, I have become all things to all people, so that by all means I might save some. How do you become all things to all people without listening? And you got to listen loud, intentionally. Look into their eyes, spend time with them. You don't have to agree with them. Our prison ministry specifically is there to serve prisoners, not so much to listen to them, but to serve them. They are incarcerated. They are there for crimes that they have committed, but they need, and they express a need by showing up at the chapel. They express the need for something more in their lives, something to get them back on track. We don't agree with or even discuss their crimes. That's forbidden. We're not to develop a close association with individual prisoners because we're not there to be manipulated. So listening there is pretty specific. But we do listen to their prayer requests and we pray for them. And finally, loud listening is absolutely crucial for God's guidance, the guidance of his Spirit. John 14:26 says, but the Helper will teach you everything and cause you to remember all that I told you. I know it's been a couple of weeks, but we were studying about Elijah. And Elijah was called to wait on God. And there was fire, there was earthquake, but God was not there. God was in a whisper. If you're not listening, you may miss the whisper. So listen loud. If something about what we've discussed this morning has affected your heart to the point that you are able to listen to God's call, he is calling you to be his child. If there is that calling within you today, please give us the opportunity to accept your confession and to baptize you and for you to become a child of God. Come forward now as we stand and sing.